broadcasting live from broadcasting live from Daytona Beach, Florida. This is Sliding the Void, and I'm your host, Joe Roop, and we are live on Fringe.fm, KTLK Digital Broadcasting. It's Cosmic Conditions Night. It's 4/20, April the 20th. The new moon is moving into Taurus. We just had an eclipse. Mary Dusina's here. The website is marydusina.com. Mary Dusina has been a partner of the show and this radio station for quite some time, and we've been giving out free readings on the air after she goes through the signs, and she goes through the message and the signs, and you know how it goes, right? So I'm interested to get this going because there's some pretty crazy energy. I know it has been, at least for me. And I'm not going to get into all that because I'm sure Mary will explain it. But you guys go check out our website while the show is on. If you want to join the chat room is fringe.fm/gilded, or click on the gilded logo at the bottom of the Fringe FM website. We also have a new talk stream live call to listen line. You need to pass that around for people that don't have any kind of internet to listen to the show live. That new number is 641-741-2427. And if you call the old one, it'll actually tell you the new number. The call-in line to call into the show when the lines are open is 1-800-588-0335. Let's get this thing going, Mary. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here with us once again. And thanks for the birthday calendar. I love it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Happy birthday to all our fiery, lovely, light that spark Aries people. I know a lot of Aries people, too. And I think the energy that I like about the Aries energy, both in all of our charts, the Aries zone in all of our chart, besides the Aries personas that we connect with in our life walk, has a lot to do with motivation, bravery, seeking adventure. It teaches us balance between when to be impulsive, when to not be arrogant, and when to not be so hard on ourselves when things don't happen as quickly as someone else promised us, or that we were able to maybe we overpromised. The Aries part of our chart is where we initiate and where we seek and desire and genuinely want to participate in beginnings. But this 420, I love the day of this, 420 is our first day of Taurus. So right off the bat, I want to just have everybody close their eyes for one brief second. Take a nice deep breath because Taurus and our Mother Earth, our beautiful biological Mother Earth, is saying, take a pause for the cause of yourself right now. And it doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't have to be something drug out. Just close your eyes, take a deeper than usual breath. Almighty I am, Almighty I am, Almighty I am, all that is. In this moment, I give thanks for my life. I give thanks with gratitude for all of the doors that needed to close, that do close, in order to help me see, ascertain, balance, and understand that I have faith as my fuel to open and embrace the new changes, the new connections, my ability to break my own self-limiting patterns, and to embrace the better version of myself. Beloved sacred archangel guides, beloved holiest of hosts, embrace me, imbue me, clear my path. I rebuke any and all deleterious or uninvited energies. Aho, amen. Sometimes when we just do a little reset like that, because we get so busy in our minds especially, and with our days, and Aries is all about beginning things in a different way, so it doesn't hurt, and it's free for us to do our own type of intention or affirmation, prayer or ceremony to at least welcome, we got to allow fashioning that better version of ourselves. So Aries is all about that. We've had, this is the second new moon, which is a time of affirming and initiating. The first one was at 0 degrees of Aries, and now we have this one that happened at 12 minutes after midnight, beginning this day of 420 in the 29th Antarctic degree of Aries. So for me, and astrologers vary on this, and I'm cool with that, but for me, in my 35 years of playing this game with the stars and the star language, I see the 29th degree as a gate opening of any sign, and I see the 29 degrees as kind of like the last hoorah or oomph of that sign. So I know no matter what sign we are in our big three, our sun, moon, and rising, when something happens in the first sign of the great turning of the annual wheel of Aries, and so we had 0 on March 20th, and now we had 29 degrees over the very beginning, the dawning of the beginning of 420 by the time clocks that we follow. This is Aries saying, I need to get your attention. And this is the first series over the next 7 eclipses that until we go into 2025. This is going to be the Aries-Libra axis that's going to be highlighted in all of our star charts for the next 18 to 18 and a half months. So eclipses run in the series of 18 and a half months. So I just lofty say to people, okay, over the next 2 years, even though it's a little shorter than 2 years, but I say to people, because right now it's 2023 and it's going to bounce into 2025 like spring of 2025. So that's why I just give them that overarching brush of 2 years. But yes, technically it's 18 and a half to 19 months, and I get that, so don't troll me. So I want to give you a couple of timelines to look back to, because with astrology, the art of astrology is being able to be time travelers and look back at the last dates and kind of years of the eclipses that were close to this one at 29 degrees. So first we're going to go back, if you were alive on the planet, to April 17th of 1996. Those all Aries eclipses are about forward march, proceed ahead. The one after that was April 19th of 2004. So put those in your mind. Both months were April. Both of them were in mid-April, coming into that third week of April. The first one that we go further back to was 1996, so it was that 1996, 1997 series. So kind of write that down so you can think about it later, and then go back to that. It would be April, October of 2004. 2004. Those are coming up in 2024 for us, too. So go back to mid-April of 2004, going forward into that 18 months into 2006. The other one, mid-April 1996, going forward, from that 96 into the 98 period. So if you write those down and just kind of don't try to figure it out right now, just kind of look at what was going on with your family, if that was a time when you were real young, if that was a time when usually you've moved, you left school, there was like some kind of bigger push, and even if it's that you graduated high school or college, or you had a baby, or you went through a breakup or a divorce, or you relocated, it's some kind of way for you to get an ability to look backwards and say, yeah, there were some really intense changes. It's intense when you leave high school. It's intense when you start college. It's intense if you finish college or some kind of technical training, and then you've done that, you've invested your time, you've learned a skill, then you got to go out in the world and try to find your way. So it's kind of like that, we come out of being a little stray puppy, and we got to find our home. Like, okay, I'm a dog running down the road here, and I need to find safe shelter for tonight, or I got to get back to my owner, or boy, I sure wish I didn't run out of my crate today. So there's that period of uncertainty, but then there's reunions, or then there's like sometimes it's a new owner. Sometimes, your dog ends up at the shelter, and you're so glad it was chipped, and you get to go find it again, but it's still a little scary clown before it happens. So there's 4 signs. There's 4 signs that are mainly affected by this particular eclipse. Why? Because since it was at the last degree of Aries, it also highlighted the first 2 degrees of Taurus. So if you were an Aries, especially if you're an Aries born in April, if you're an Aries, if you are the balance sign to Aries, if you're a Libra and you're an October-born Libra, or you have a later degree Libra rising sign, if you are a Taurus, because the next eclipse is going to be the sun in Taurus and the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So those 4 signs, Aries and its balance opposite sign Libra, and Taurus and its opposite balance sign of Scorpio. So let me get a little bit intermediately technical with you. So in your personal natal chart, you want to get that little yellow highlighter, and you want to find where the zone or the pizza slice, or what we call the house, the area of your chart where you would find 29 degrees to about 3 degrees of Taurus. So we'll look at where you're coming out of your Aries house and entering the Taurus house. And then the next eclipse is going to be at 15 degrees of Taurus Scorpio. So for those of you that like to get technical and you want to know what the full moon coming up eclipse is going to be over the 4th, 5th, 6th of May coming up, you want to go find that midpoint of 15 degrees Taurus, and the opposite house to that 15 degrees of Taurus is going to be the Scorpio, the 15 degrees of Scorpio. So what makes this easier is if you find Aries and you find out what house Aries is for you, the exact opposite house 6 months away, 6 signs away is Libra. And when you find the Scorpio, where the full moon eclipse will happen, if you find the Scorpio house in your nativity, your birth chart, automatically opposite of that is Taurus. That makes astrology a little bit easier to understand. So like people that are Aries right now, it's their first house, until we shifted into Taurus today. So the balance sign for you, Aries, the 7th house is Libra. For Taurus, that are now that sign, I can tell you that if you're a Taurus, it's your first house as we go into Taurus right now. And so, but the eclipse was just before your sign. It was in Aries. So and I'm going to go through them quickly, but because it was in the last degrees of Aries, it's a little bit wonky. It's a little bit more complicated to interpret for any good astrologer because it kind of lit up a door that's closing and a door that's opening. So when you're walking through a door, when you're walking out your door to go somewhere, to get something to drink, to get your cigarettes, to go to meet somebody, you got to walk out the door and shut the door you're walking out of in order to go open up the door of the car or open up the door of the restaurant. So you got to close the door behind you, even though you may be returning. That's probably the better visual I can give you for this eclipse. There's some doors, and the door is very specific, so you can make a note of this too. This eclipse and 29 degrees of Aries finishes off a 6-month soul lesson, soul teaching, kind of an earth school, psyche, soul testing ground, lessons being learned. So we're going back to late September of last year. And this eclipse, and why we're a little bit exhausted, is we literally all just got out of some kind of cosmic school with this eclipse. And so it's like school's out for summer. So what's happening is we're like, oh my God, I'm so tired today, or I don't know, I can't describe all the sensations I've had for the last 2 to 3 days. I mean, just in the last 2 to 3 days, I've heard about people losing a member in their family of death, a dog ran off, or this or that. There was like odd things that are happening. And the fact that it was, as we say in my star language, a square to the planet of transitions and transformations, Pluto, at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So it can be anomalous. It can be odd. Like first we hear in the news that Elon Musk's big old heavy rocket, took off and then it exploded in the air, and the very next Twitter thing says, oh, they blew it up on purpose. So it's like information is like in a spin zone, and it's crazy. And I have so many people saying to me, I am so ready to divorce social media when it comes to the cancel culture or the political thing or the woke ideas. I'm just done with all this divisiveness because, remember, people are still tired from 2020 when we had the Pluto and the Saturnian conjunctions in Capricorn. We're just done with people trying to bully us or tell us what to do or how to do it. And Pluto in Aquarius is saying, you know what, I'm going to be kind of like a hermit, or I'm going to be kind of like a nomad, and I'm going to go out and find my real tribe. I don't care about the political thing. I don't care. I care about my life. I care about the people I love, but I'm going to invest my time in authentic situations, people with integrity, people that say what they mean and do what they say. And that is especially so with Taurus. Now, right now, the fear virus that they're trying to throw at us is about currency and digital and money and real estate and all this kind of stuff when people are trying to figure out about their rent and their home and am I leaving and what about this and what new regulations are going to be imposed upon me and all of that. Taurus gets down to the nitty-gritty of our possessions. Do they possess us? Are we possessed by them? Or are we able to navigate through it? So I'd like you, as earthy and as tangible and as materialistically focused as Taurus helps us to be, in order not to be too wild with our money or we get a little more conservative in Taurus. And Taurus is completely different than Aries in a sense of it's like, okay, take a breath, calm down, slow down. Don't be impulsive when it comes to your work, your career, and your money decisions. And this is a time for you to be able to look at your creative talents and skill sets and gifts, and it's time for you to be able to celebrate all those things you studied at work, at school, with the people that greatly influenced you over time in your life, and even the people that told us no, even the people that backed us up and said, I'm not going to help you anymore, you got to go figure it out on your own right now and all of that. Taurus is a really great time to assimilate those life teachers, those soul coaches, our time in nature. The most healing thing we can do right now is to be in nature, to think about our health and our wellness. I'm not fussing at anybody for their diet and what they eat or what they drink, but Taurus is about how are you celebrating your body? How does your body feel? Maybe you could do more self-nurturing. It's more of a sensual cycle. When we come into this next full moon, it's about, what about the pleasure principles in my life? I mean, it's okay in everything that seems to be crazy and off-balanced out there. It's okay if I make more time to be around those people or that place, or just taking a drive in my car, or spending time with my cat or my dog, or chilling out with my neighbor, or sitting even on the beach and to see what Spirit wants to send me as far as somebody that might say hi or bye. You know, maybe I need to disconnect more from the cell phone and just go on the beach or be in the mountains for a half hour and leave the damn phone on the table and just go do that, you know, if you don't want to be that far from your place. But we need to, Taurus is about plug into your biological mother, but don't fuss at yourself if you want to sleep a little bit more, or you want to eat something that's your absolutely go-to comfort food, if you want to have somebody over for a salad or a glass of wine, or just, you know, be on the beach under the stars in the mountains, or on your porch with somebody and say, hey, the budget's a little tight right now. That happens in Taurus. Budget's a little tight right now, but I can offer you some really valuable company. Come on over and let's have a good time. So it's more about being fully present in the moment, and I don't care what retreat or seminar you go to, or what life coach or mystic or astrologer or meditation you do, they ultimately come back to, how are you doing with yourself? How's your mind when you're all alone? And can you stop your monkey mind and be fully present in the now? Because whatever's been stressing you, it's not doing it right now if you're really listening to this show with Joe and I. And if you're really looking for answers, you'll shut your head off and you'll listen to your favorite podcast or your prayers, or you'll take that moment to dive into, I do need a resolution. I'm okay to ask for assistance in my prayers, or I'm okay to, you know, trust that friend that's really never let me down. And even if we've agreed to disagree, even if we've had some walk-away moments or some battles or fights, I know I can really trust their character. They're strong enough to say to me, Mary, I don't agree with that, or Joe, I don't agree with that, but I love you, but I like you, and one thing I can rely on is your character, and you've never turned your back on me, even if we've parted ways in a discussion or whatever. You know, even if you said to me, that's okay, go do it your way. I celebrate you. It's your lifetime. It's your karma. It's your path to truth. So Taurus is going to help us, especially going into May 5th. Now, I can't erase the fact, and I would be lying to you, so I won't, if I didn't tell you that the time period between our first set of these spring eclipses, you know, this is the first eclipses of 2023. We come up again with it in October, November. We've graduated from 6 months ago. We're going back to September, October of 2022. We finished that dance out. So the fights we've had, the struggles we've had, the people that let us down, the scenarios that are saying goodbye, the people that broke their promises, I can't believe you said that, I can't believe you did that. All of that from the last 6 months is now shown us what's a good investment of our heart, our psyche, our soul, our psych. Is it good for us psychologically, or are we holding on to something because we're afraid of change? And that's especially going on with Taurus people out there in Scorpio second. Or are we going to be able to put some more fuel of faith and not betray ourselves, and know that if something is a goodbye, if we've got to leave a place or a person or a situation, then we've got to lean into spirit. We've got to trust what financed us when we came out of a womb and say, you know, I need to stop fighting the fact that it's okay if I have pluses and minuses in my life. I need to stop taking it all so personally and realize that the game here, while I'm living on Earth, is to connect more with my spirit, my true home, and to get the spirit working through my mind and working in my personality and working in my finances and working in my love life and working on letting me break my patterns that are limiting to me. So all of us, in a sense, in an eclipse cycle, need to break up with those past versions of ourselves that had purpose then, but we need to embrace, okay, I'm Joe and I can reinvent myself, and I'm Mary and I can reinvent myself, and I don't always have to be that way when I'm angry. I don't always have to act out that way when I'm sad or I feel rejected. I'm going to start leaning into some new approaches that ultimately might feel weird and odd to me because we get stuck from our subconscious and our childhood patterns. And instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to adult my way through this, and I'm going to deliberately try out some of these psychological avenues and some of these things I've studied and read online. I'm going to start to apply them the next time I feel rejected or I feel angry. And you know, the way we build our confidence, and I enjoy Mel Robbins as a good Instagram life coach. He said, you know, sometimes you build confidence instantly by just starting to take a different kind of action. She and Jordan Peterson are pretty strong on helping us remain with integrity and kind of not be ashamed of being our authentic self. So Taurus is about tangible results of investing in yourself. So if you want to invest more time in your business, or you want to stop working someplace that absolutely is driving you batshit, and you'd like to, you know, divorce that and start stepping more away from that, or you're in a toxic relationship, and instead of just debating about it all the time or fighting about why do you stay, why don't you go, instead of all that, just simply say to yourself, am I happy the way this is going here? Why do I choose to keep debating it or fighting about it? And why don't I just at least start asking myself the question, does this job, does this family member, does this place I live in, does this relationship, is it fostering, and don't blame them, take it back to yourself, am I fostering, does it bring out and help me be a better version of myself? Because we're alchemists. And we either are going to be magicians and alchemists and earth angels to help bring out the choice that God gives us, the Creator gives us, of being a better version of ourselves, or we're going to be doomed to keep repeating the same patterns and just get different lovers and different jobs, but same crap, different day. So Aries says, break the mold. And Taurus says, it's time to love yourself into that. It's time to love yourself into the new nutritional discipline or the way you will address a person, and you'll love yourself enough to say, look, I care about you, but I'm not doing the verbal battles anymore. Or I'm not going to keep letting you poke the tiger, or you don't listen to me, and we get into the same space, and so I'm just done. I'm just done. Care about you, think you're a great person, but this isn't working for me. So when you agree with me that we can come at it a different way, then we need to play a new game. The old game's, I'm bored, it's old, it doesn't work. We both have seen that, and I'm not going to do it anymore. Whether that's your boss or your coworkers or your family member that tries to always tell you you're going to do it this way, and you're in that family pecking order that all the responsibility is going to fall on you and everybody else dumps it all on you, or you always feel like you're the black sheep or you can't rely on anybody. Maybe that's a soul lesson to teach you that you're pretty darn strong and you don't need them. You can love them, but you maybe need to do it yourself. You know, I always go back to thine own self be true. So this eclipse at 29 degrees, and we'll go into the signs, is saying to us, if you really get down and raw with yourself, are you okay, and you're not shaming or blaming yourself about really setting the boundaries, being true to yourself, and then when you do back somebody up or you do say, no, that's not fair to me and I'm not going to do that anymore, those are harsh words, or that's a toxic attitude, and I don't want to be toxic with you. I don't want to be toxic with anybody. When you set that boundary with yourself, then Spirit's going to show you and reveal to you, not as a punishment, but just as a alchemical dance of what's a plus and what's a minus. And we can't change anybody else. We're responsible for ourselves. If we choose to be a plus and it keeps showing up as a minus, you know, just look at it as a math problem. Okay, right now I need to subtract that. Right now I need to just back that up until it can become a plus. If they don't agree within themselves that I'm worth it, let's talk about math, If they don't think it's worth an investment to themselves to get into a plus dance with me, then maybe I just need to, I'm not going to say they're bad and they're a jerk and they're this. I just need to put that into the category. That's not an equation that's balancing out for me and them. If you're the minus in somebody's life, check your damn self. You need to stop it. You need to stop it. And for me, what I found helps make a better version of myself. If I'm going to take it personal, I take it back to myself first. I don't blame them. They may have done something wrong or said something wrong, and I may have gotten triggered. But the first thing I do is, what's underneath the trigger? What triggered you? Anything unhealed in you? Are you just tired today? You went against yourself. You really didn't want to spend that much time with that person, or you don't think that person's respecting your space or your boundaries. Where are you allowing yourself to get drained, and you're wanting to trigger it outside of them? How dare they? That was rude, blah, blah, blah. They took advantage of me. But maybe you had the intuition all along, not today, not that way ever again. So I would urge you in Taurus that Taurus can give you the ability. The fixed signs are really great. Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius, wherever they fall in our chart, they help anchor us. They help allow us to be teachers to ourselves first and foremost. So now we're in one of those. We're in the first one of those for 2023. Taurus is the bull in the pasture. This 29 degree of Aries, when you look at the real sky astrology, it falls in the constellation, the part of the constellation of Pisces that's Auretia, which is the two fish in the constellation in the sky of Pisces are tethered. They're tied together. There's a knot in that leash, if you will, that star leash, and that knot is 29 degrees of Aries. So let me take all those words and put it into this before we go into the signs, or if Joe needs to take a break. What's binding us? What are the knots that we need to unravel? And let me be a Scorpio mystic and say it to you this way. What, K-N-O-T-S, do we need to get untangled from, and where do we N-O-T? Where do we not need to keep participating that we know is draining and toxic to ourselves? So it's time for us, as we shift from Aries into Taurus in the Western zodiac wheel, to look at the actual constellation of that knot and the two fishes up in the sky in the constellation of Pisces. And see, the fishes can't ever swim away from each other because they're knotted together. They're tied together, so their fate is twisted, like getting caught in a cobweb. You know what it feels like to walk through a cobweb, or how the bug feels when it gets caught in the cobweb. So we need to unknot that. We need to say to ourselves, I feel stagnant in this, and I keep going back to this same scenario, so I just need to untie the knot. Then if I want to stay, then if I want to continue to play, I'm not leashed, knotted, held down, held back anymore by myself, or allowing the other person to keep me in that pattern. So
yeah,
this is about...
Can I just say something too?
Unbind ourselves, yeah.
Personally, this is something that I went through personally, and I can tell you that, make no mistake about it, the deeper you care and love about somebody, the deeper you care and love about them. When you have wounds, they are going to come out.
Yes.
It's inevitable. It's part of the alchemical process. So
that's what love does.
That's exactly what love is supposed to do.
Absolutely.
And we live in this society where, and I think I'm kind of like happy about what you're saying. We live in this society where everything tells us to blame the other person.
Nope.
Everything tells us to blame the other person.
I don't teach that. Yeah, I don't teach that.
Everything can change when you come into contact with your own wounds and you're honest with that other person. And then if things don't change or whatever, then you take it from there. But I think we live in a society where we just... because deep love is an amazing thing. Like, we could have wonderful things on this planet, but when we actually go through the healing, because love, that's what it does. We're quick to, we're just quick to just chop, and then like, well, wait, before you chopped, did you even understand what was going on with yourself first?
And I think to your point, Joe, even if that lover, even if our love interest, or if a family member that we love or whatever, because it all starts there, people. It all starts in your original clan scenario. That's where that's what the subconscious is the memories of whatever raised us, guided us, wounded us, or whatever. And then when we get into our own hormonal dance and we start why we're attracted to that particular person in that particular way is that lover, that alchemical polarity is going to come toward us. And sometimes separations are a success because we break apart to see, I really do care about that person. How come that muckety-muck keeps getting in the way? So then if we can look at another person and say, I am not in your life. Now, some people are. Listen, they are narcissistic, they are wounders, they are toxic, and people have to want to change. I'm not going to change anybody. People have to want to change. But if I can be an instrument of change to that person I care about, by the way, if I'm going to risk my vulnerability and I'm going to show up authentic, it's my responsibility to say to that person, I don't talk to you that way. I don't want to be talked to that way, so let's see if we can shift that. That's not my love language. I don't want to do that to you, and I'm not going to do that to you. So you doing that way would trigger me, and I'm going to bow out of that because I care that you're hurting. I'd like to hear you tell me where you feel it went sideways. I want to hear that. I may agree, I may not disagree, but what I'm fully invested in is figuring out how we can get beyond it if you're willing to work with it.
Yeah, because I'm telling you right now, I personally have went through that. Where I'm just, I don't want to go to a certain place with this, and then I end up doing it anyways because I haven't healed what I needed to heal, right?
Nor have they.
Or maybe, I don't know. I know.
It's got to be a piece of it because we're attracting it.
Yeah, I know part of it's me.
Of course. Oh, no. Again, what did I say? The first scenario, especially with Aries, is how are you doing with yourself? If you get triggered, if you get snappy, if you get your feelings hurt, sometimes the other person you're involved with has no idea why your feelings are hurt.
Exactly.
You've not communicated it. They don't know. And it's amazing how people say, I don't believe in telepathy. I don't believe in psychic stuff. Really, what? You expect people to know what you're thinking all the time. You're all hurt and you're all puffed up in the corner and you didn't tell them what hurt your feelings, or you're talking about it to your cousin or your relatives or your friends at the bar, and the person's like, I had no idea I hurt you that way. How come you don't talk to me about it?
Yeah. And I want you to talk about one more thing, too, because this is something I struggle with, and I know I've always struggled with this, and I've seen it happen in my family. Like, we're extremely loyal to our families. Right, we are. I know I am.
It's in our heart.
It's just who we are as people. Like, family is everything to a lot of people. But there are things that I'm realizing, like in my family, especially let's just say some of the elderlies, they're just not going to change, right? And I've had to think about that. Like, can I handle that? Like, well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I remember when I did my first Saturn return, when you hit that 29 years old to 30 years old, and you get your, what we call in astrology, the first time Saturn comes back. A Saturn return is, for the audience that's new to that, anybody that hits between 28 and a half to 30 years old in astrological timeline, you're experiencing what they call the first Saturnian return. And what that means is Saturn comes back to the place you had it at birth only once. I'll just round it off, right before you turn 30, right before you turn 60. So I realized at that time, and a lot of people do, with just that age in life, that you're going to start to realize that you can love your family, you can love your tribe, but you start to realize that just because we had a mom and a dad and they're older than us doesn't mean they had all their psychological stuff healed and figured out. They have their wounds. They have their generational challenges as well. And, sometimes as parents, they expect us to be a lot like them, or they don't tend to show us as much love. And, and I had a parent like that. I had a mother, she's now deceased, but it was like she was kind of vain and, a good woman, but it's like it all had to evolve around her. She had a lot of Leo in there. So it was like if I didn't do the clone dance the way she wanted to do it, then there was a competition. So I would tend to take back burner and let her have all the attention. And people around me are like, but you did all the work, but you did this. So I found that I was giving in, and that was making the situation more toxic. She was getting her way. So I can love my mother and I did and I do. But I had to, part of my soul lesson, especially at 29 to 30 years old, was like I had to divorce that pattern, and I had to set a boundary. And oh, believe me, when you set a boundary with a mom or a dad, they're going to bow up because they've gotten their way for so long, and it's like, you're the child, I'm the parent, and even if they do it quietly or passive aggressively, they'll kind of check you, and you're just like, oh, well, if you want to be that way, then we're not going to talk. And when you get to a certain point of realizing, I can love my mom, I can love my dad, my elders, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And like Joe, I had a very good grandmother, and my mama, I had very good life teachers there. So those good elders that we have show us that when we have a competitive parent or a judgmental parent, the wise part of you realizes they've got that anger or they've got that judgment or they've got that restrictive attitude because they never broke their pattern. They got wounded by somebody too, and they're just carrying on the same medicine that was inflicted upon them. So when we come along and say, love you, don't love that, not doing that anymore, not that way. That trains us for our relationship, and all my relationships, all my friendships, all my relationships got so much better once I dealt with it at the core level of my biological parents.
Yeah.
And whoever raises you. I don't mean to say it has to just be biological, because I've dealt with a lot of clients, a lot of friends that would say this, different than you and I, Joe. They would say, you're lucky. You knew your biological parents. I still have a mystery there.
Yeah, I get that.
So there's different layers of lessons that hit people. So if whoever it is that raised you, whoever it is that shamed you, blamed you, loved you, rejected you when you didn't do it the way they said and they wanted it to be. And Joe, a lot of people get that with religion. Like your parents will bow up on you. If they're Jewish, they're Catholic, they're this, and you say, well, I want to go be Greek Orthodox. I don't want to be Baptist anymore. That's a whole firestorm for a lot of people that I work with, especially coming from the South. So their parents love them, but they just reject them. Or if they marry outside their race, or if they decide that they're bisexual, all that kind of stuff comes up. There's all kinds of layers of issues that parents that love us will draw a line in the sand and go, well, don't come here. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Okay, it hurts, but okay, I got to be me. And I'm going to love you, but I'm not going to take it that I'm less than in my intimate relationship, or I'm less than in the fact that you can stop loving me, and you can put a little vault on that if you want. You can cut the water off on your love for me if you want to. But the example I will set for you is, I've got to be true to me. To thine own self be true. Physician, heal thyself. But I still love you, Mom. I still love you, Dad. But I'm not going to play that game anymore in order to win your approval. That's big for people, Joe. And that's where our relationships come in.
It's like in intimate relationships. I think change and growth is an amazing thing. But what I find with like parents, or it's almost like I'll just say it. My father had grown comfortable with me being there all the time, and I love my dad, and I miss him. So
I know you do.
I miss my dad more, like as much as I miss my son, almost.
That's nice.
But like, I can tell he's different towards me because I'm not there.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and see, just by you moving from that location of where he is, it forced him, not in a mean way, but just you moving on and doing a new adventure in your life, or however long you want to do it, forced him, because you were always there. You were always the guaranteed companion, even if you guys spent a lot of hours apart. But he got comfortable in the fact that, well, even in my angry times, or even in my judgmental times, or my son's going to be there. So what it did is it threw him out of his pattern. I got to tell you, I think as humans, the Taurus part of our chart, we don't want to change. We want to find, I can't tell you how many times humans, I'll say, Dad, do you hear what you just said? It's like, I just want to get my place to live, and I just want to get enough money, and I just want to be happy. And I'm like, really? Then how come you're grumbling about everything that you have already? And when's the last time you gave thanks for what you ate today and the whatever roof you had over your head? So like your dad, it forced him, and people get mad when they have to change. Their usual reaction is like a little kid, and it went to. So what happened is, by you moving, it's almost like there's this silent voice of, how dare you leave me? I was always there for you, and you're always there for me, and how dare you do that? And they really don't want to say that, because they want to see you do well, and they want to see you move on. And a person that loves you, your partner, your intimate partner that loves you, they want to, a true healthy relationship, they want to add to your dreams. They want to see your life go better as a team, like Show's talking about, as a team of intimate partners. But if you've got a partner that plays games with you or gives and takes and gives and takes and starts spinning you around, that's a toxic behavior. I'm not blaming the person, but you got to put a halt to that toxic behavior, saying, this is not why we came together. And if that's what you need in a relationship, that's not going to work for me. You need to go have a toxic relationship if you don't want to like upgrade or level up to how as a team we can be really powerful as two intimate earth travelers that connected. And I'm different than most people. I see that when a relationship goes sour or it keeps going against you, maybe that's not a failure. Maybe it has served its purpose and it keeps going back to being a firestorm or troubling or draining, or they don't play fair with you, or they're cheating financially, they're cheating intimately, because it just needs to be done. And I can't tell you how many people I've worked with over the years that, you know, a lot of times when it was so fiery when they were together, when they moved on and they got with other people, they were really happy, and maybe it was 5 years, maybe it was 2 years, maybe it was 10 years, and the other person moved on, and you know, it wasn't that they were a firestorm together, only because maybe destiny said, you've graduated from this. You're not wrong, they're not wrong, it's wrong now. It's not for your highest good right now. Maybe the coming together of you gave you the lessons, taught you about your vulnerability, helped you realize it's not the person I need to work on when I get angry, when I get sad, when I want sex, why I always act this certain way. What is that? Why am I so stuck in just that way?
Yeah, and if you see and another thing too is like, if you ever talk to couples that are like have been together for years and years and years, right? Especially like happy ones, or they seem to be happy. Like you meet an old couple at an airport. I always get curious, and I talk to them. I have to talk to them, you know.
Smart.
And they tell me that, I mean, they look at me like always dead in my eyes, and they're like, let me tell you something, son, or they'll say something like that. It wasn't all easy, but it was worth it, right?
There you go.
So they grew together in a way. I just think there's love that grows, and love always grows. That's the thing about it. It always grows. If you let it, it always grows.
Okay, but my point to you is,
if you try to get in your way, if you try to get in its way by doing the same things over and over again, or staying in a situation that you're not supposed to stay in, right, or holding on to things that, like, it's not just intimate relationships. There's family and friends that don't want you to change.
That's exactly right.
They don't like the fact that you're changing. They resent you for it for some reason. You know,
well, they want to hold you in the pattern. You know, they want to hold you in the pattern. In the pecking order of our family, in this tribe, in this family, this is the way we treat women, and this is the way women get treated, and this is the way we treat men, and this is the way men get treated, and this is what we have defined as the way it's going to be done around here. And the reason they don't want that pattern broken is if the black sheep of the family, or someone says, well, I don't want to be with somebody that I cheat on or I fight with, or, you know, I focus only on work and money, and I don't focus on my intimate relationship. And I'll say it to you this, there was a young pastor that I watched the other day, and I'm like, who's that guy? That was good. He's like 39. And he said, you know what? A lot of people come home every day in a marriage, but they're not at home with it. They're not connected.
Just kind of going through the motions or whatever. I mean,
well, they're not emotionally connected anymore. Like, they're connected with their bank account, and they're connected with the kid, and they're connected with finances, or they're connected with their parents want them to stay living with that woman or that man. But they're not. They're going through the motions, but they're not connected with the partner. There's a lot of disconnect. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying, if they were really honest with themselves, they have dinner with them, but there's not that intimate, vulnerable. There's not that. They're not growing anymore. They're just going through the motions. Is that a better way to say it?
Oh, yeah. And I've got a couple in my family that I don't know anybody that's been through what they've been through, still to this day. Nobody. But when they look at each other, they're like a role model. I've dreamed about them, actually, because I love relationships. I think they're the breadth of our life. Otherwise, we'd be here alone on our own planet. But I watched them when they say they love each other. And sometimes you wonder, you're like, how the hell can you guys love each other, right? Because I seen you almost killing each other the other day. But but it's like, it's my aunt and uncle, right? But there's something about when they say it to each other that it just deadens the room, right? Like you can question a lot of stuff, but that don't get questioned.
Well, what they've proven, some people, even if they fight, it's like their love language. It's just fiery all the time and everything, and that wouldn't work for me because I've got to have peace. But sometimes it's like they came from fiery backgrounds, they came from rough backgrounds, they came from a lot of soul and psychological fractures and breaks, and so it became habit because, a dysfunctional family, you have to understand that a dysfunctional child, this is Psychology 101, a dysfunctional childhood filled with abuse and verbal fighting and all that was their normal. That was their normal. That wasn't my normal, but that was their normal. So when that comes up to you, you're like, whoa, because that shatters all the things that, that fussing and fighting for a lot of people, I know that's just what they do. It's just, and they're good with it. That's just what they do. And I say to myself, hell no.
They're both redheaded too, so there you go.
Well, but what they're saying to each other when they look at each other is like, wow, I've tested your ass. I put your back up against the wall a bunch of times, and you still stay with me, and I still stay with you, even though we fight. There used to be like a show that was called In Living Color, and it was one of the first all-black successful comedy shows. I loved it. My husband at the time said, will you prioritize that show? And I said, this is the first show. It was the Wayans Brothers. This is the first show that really lets their culture be their culture. And they had one of the comedy skits was like, we're still together. And they would like try to throw rocks at each other and, and everybody, and anytime any of the family, anybody came over, they, even though they were just yelling at each other and trying to kill each other and all that, they would look at them like, and put their heads together. We're still together. But the whole skit was about how much they fought and how much they, the other one needed to be right. And it was like, oh my God, that's such real life. But they weren't going to leave each other for nothing if it can't, they weren't going to have the family judgment and all that. So Aries is telling us with this last degree, I got to tell you, Aries will bring up your anger. Aries is the full embodiment of your desire. What's missing in my life. The Aries energy is what's missing in my life. And I got to stop being crazy in my head and overanalyzing this and getting pissed about the money and why won't that person talk to me and on again, off again. Aries is all about, I'm going to be right and I'll hang up the phone and I'll do this and I'll ghost you and it's going sideways. And then Taurus is like, you ready just to calm the hell down and talk?
Right. Like, yeah. Yep.
So that's where we are right now. So Taurus is ruled by Venus. Happy birthday, Taurus. And Taurus people, you cannot push them. They want calm. They understand Taurus energy strong in a chart understands what a blessing it is. And look at what's going on with food and food prices and real estate and investment markets and all. Taurus understands, and our elders understood. Go back to our grandparents and their grandparents that had to work the field all the time to put the food, not just go over to a grocery store or a big box store. They understood. Hard times will do that, Joe. Hard times will do that. They understood through the sweat of their backs in any indigenous culture what the Philippines or South America or Venezuela right now, they're going through that kind of a stuff, and people trying to cross at any border anywhere in the world and people in a war zone. We need to be more grateful and we need to understand the power of the food on our plate. Whether the prices are crazy, and they are, so believe me, when you look at a piece of pie at $7, if you're going to bother to invest in that, you need to enjoy that moment. You need to shut out the world or be with that friend who sits and just laughs at you. I had a friend today, a Taurus friend today, laugh at me because I'm real picky on desserts because ingredients and all the holistic crap and all it can't have canola oil. And this chef is a friend of mine, and he's a Pisces, and he said, I got a pie you're going to like, Mary. And I'm like, you think? No, it's like a challenge for him. So he said, I got this apple pie, and it's Granny Smith apples, and it's Southern like you like it, and the crust is thin, and look, no canola, no high fructose corn syrup. And I said, okay, don't microwave it, just heat it in the oven. And it was heaven. It's like my mama used to make pies, going back to our elders again. And I thought, I just had a Taurus foodie moment. And I didn't care. that it was $6.39. Yeah, that's a lot of money for a slice of pie, but you know what? It checked all the boxes. So I think that we need to, Taurus is the simple basics of, and when I would grumble as a kid, Mama, who came up with not much, would look at me and she would say, young lady, did you have some kind of roof over your head last night? Yes, Mama. Did you eat anything today? Yes, Mama. Well, you need to get out there on that porch swing and you need to go think about being more thankful. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's how my grandma was too. Yeah.
And I carry it with me today. And I think, Joe, there's a lot of, with all the technical stuff and cell phones and the convenience of gaming and the internet and all that. And I, for one, am voting against how they're drawing us away from eye-to-eye, personal, in-person meetings and in-person touch and all that. If we didn't see how that drove us crazy in 2020, with the world locking down, we need to be thankful and go, you know what? I want to let Spirit and my angel guides right where I live, no matter how I live, I want to see what's in my community, and maybe I want to spend some more time in my community and getting to know the neighbors and a little bit around me. And I don't have to have expectations, but I need to be a little more grateful that I can sit down at a table and I don't have to wear a mask. I don't have some government telling me what to do, and I can just have a Coca-Cola with you, or I can just have a piece of pie with you, and I don't want to overlook this moment ever again, because all of us that are alive that went through 2020, we went through a piece of history.
Right.
And I don't think, I'm glad it's over, but, and whatever else game they're going to try to play, Pluto's in Aquarius now, and it's telling us, listen, stop trying to get moved around like sheep and scared, and it's not letting you appreciate the Taurus, the pleasures of the moment, the magic of the moment. And let me tell you, if you have a good moment with a friend or a lover, let that bloom. Don't go in your mind, when am I going to see him again? When is he going to touch me again? When am I going to be with her again? Just say, man, that rocked. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that sweet spot in my life. Thank you for that kiss. Thank you for looking into your eyes. Thank you for how good your skin feels. Just thank you for being in my life.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was feeling today. But I was having like this ache because I missed him so much, I'm like, Jesus, man, what is this like ache from this thing? Because it was so amazing, right? Like it was something that, it's one of those things that you have to be grateful for, because you're not going to forget it. You're not.
Listen, our next breath isn't guaranteed. I don't care how psychic you think you are. It's by some kind of supernatural contract, or, everything here in the earthly pleasure zone or the earthly frustration zone, it's temporary. So let's love who we love, whether they love us back exactly or not. If they need to go, or they need to go spit and fire and do all that, nobody's going to abuse me, because I'm not going to abuse anybody else. So I'm not in anybody's life to abuse them, and they're going to respect common sense and boundaries and manners and stuff like that, because I do that discipline with myself. I'm not going to let people hang out with me that choose to be toxic and lie and betray and cheat and all that. It's just like, oh, hell no. But when you come to feelings, there was something I saw the other day. I don't even know who it was. It was some little visual thing, and this young guy was upset. And this older guy looked at him. It was a real quick clip, like 20 seconds. And the older guy said to the younger guy, I'm loving you right now. And the younger guy with longer hair says, it doesn't feel like that. I don't feel that. I don't feel like that. And the older teacher guy, whatever it was, life coach or whatever, looked at him and said, feelings sometimes aren't real the way you think they are. Feelings can be reactions to unresolved conflict that we have from not feeling loved in our past. And I went, whoa.
Yeah.
Because the guy said, it doesn't feel like that. And the guy immediately started to tear up. And the older guy wasn't judging him. But the older guy was saying, sometimes what you're feeling is like that ache you're feeling, or the anger that someone's feeling. That may be a trigger from a long time ago. We got to find the roots of that and just unpack that bag or pull that weed out of our life garden. Whatever made us feel like, I'm doing it wrong. I don't please them. I don't measure up to them. Daddy only likes me. Mommy only likes me if I do it this way, or I sit this way, or I don't like that person, or whatever. We need, at some point, for God's sakes, when you're past 20, I hope, you start saying, look, I don't have to prove to my mom and my dad or my adopted parents or my mama or my aunt and my uncle or my lover. If I tell them that I love them and I'm authentic, and I say to them, okay, I'm going to be unique, but you can't tell me about my feelings. I know that I care about you. I know that I'm drawn to you. But if I have insecurity issues, Joe, if I'm bringing my toxic insecurities into a relationship or a job and I'm too needy, then I'm going to irritate the people I work with at the restaurant. I'm going to irritate the partner because they're going to be like, what is wrong with you? Why are you clinging to me? Why do I have to call you every 2 hours? If I tell you I care about you, I care about you. But if I'm needy and I'm going to be draining them, I'm going to become an emotional vampire to them. If I haven't solved my fear of being alone or being rejected, I'm going to project that onto the other person. So all of us can do very well with life coaches and psychological training and getting readings from people and these people that will actually help you, that you can trust, that will actually be really real with you and honest with you, and stop wearing out your damn best friends. We all would do that. It's like we talk about our problems all the time to our best friends or that family member, like, oh my God, would you just go get therapy, or would you just go to do something to where you get out of this loop, because we keep repeating the same words and the same problem and complaining about the same stuff. And those wonderful friends that we have are looking at us like, my God, I wish you'd make a change. Or go pay somebody. Because here's what happens. If you go pay that therapist, if you go into counseling, if you pay the astrologer or the psychic or the life coach, or you go to the seminar like those events that you do, you will be life-changing because you got up off your butt, you spent some time and some money, and because you spent some money, oh, heck yeah, you pay, you're going to pay attention. You're going to say, well, I just paid $400 for that. I need to go do something about it. Then you will. I mean, we got to get motivated.
Yeah, you gotta change for sure. So
for the better.
We gotta go to break here. So when we come back, we'll do the signs and
yes,
do the calls.
And then we're going to go into readings and readings and readings.
But I'm kind of just to be honest with you, I'm kind of a needy lover. Always have been.
But Joe, if you go into the relationship, you don't have to guess about me. Let me just tell you, I'm the kind of a guy. I love my emotions coming fully out. I love affection. My love language is touch and affection and expressions of love. So I might come across as needy. Maybe that's a part of my childhood landscape that I didn't get enough of that. So I just want to tell you, because I didn't get enough of that, I'm willing to give you more of that.
Right.
Than you probably have ever experienced. And if you give that disclosure, just say to them, so when you're feeling low or you're feeling rejection, I'm your guy. I'm your guy.
All right.
It's the truth.
I wish
women,
listen, Joe,
women
before.
don't even know. Women don't even know with the last 25 years. They don't even know how much it could help them just to be held, and they don't have to get banged all the time. But if they could just be held and could just have their hair stroked, and if a guy or their lover, whatever, nowadays it's everything, whoever it is that you're into, would just let you lay on the couch and just hold you, and if you fell asleep, they wouldn't be mad at you because you could finally feel safe enough to shut your mind off and just let somebody hold you and not get mad at you because you're not watching the movie with them. But my God, their head is in your lap. Just stroke their neck and let them be like a little child and fall asleep in your lap if you happen to say, want to have sex now? Just let them feel safe with you. That's a form of intimacy that they're not going to get with the last 5 lovers that they had that just want them to ride the pony all the time. You know how vulnerable you have to be to trust somebody, to just let yourself fall asleep in their lap? Yeah, I know a few of those secrets. Let somebody feel safe around you. It's huge in today's world.
I don't think as guys we don't think about that because we fall asleep.
I can help you with that.
You know what I'm saying? Like we fall asleep without worrying about it, you do have to take that into consideration. Like, you're not the only person that has emotions here.
Right. So, and I think for women, because guys, they work hard and they fall asleep and they get tired and all that. I think for women to be able to turn around and wake up, I say to my women clients all the time, have you complimented your lover enough lately for the things they do right instead of criticizing them? To me, it's huge if there's somebody in your life that you can just put your head in their lap and just be able to trust them enough to go to sleep a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to fall asleep. But no, that's okay. It was nice. Thank you. To have that safe person that won't dump a bunch of expectations on you, that you can finally feel safe enough. Like, go back to being a little kid. How good did it feel for those people that got to experience that? Or how good does it feel when the cat or the dog gets to snuggle up next to you and just fall asleep with you? I can't tell you how many people tell me when my dog falls asleep on me, I don't want to move, or my cat, I don't want to move, I don't want to disturb the cat. And I said, why don't you try that with a human?
Yeah. All right, so the quick break, we'll do the signs, and we'll open up the phones. Here we go.
Yep.
Sorry about that. It's Cosmic Conditions. We're here with Mary Dusina, and we're going to go through the signs. Some deep stuff we had to go through there, so we're going to go through these, and then we'll open up the phones. Mary, take it away.
Well, so we spent a lot of time on Aries because, A, it's the first sign of the zodiac, and B, we had 2 eclipses in Aries. And you'll notice each month what I'm trying to continue to teach you with in this 4 years we've been doing this together, we've got to change it up a little bit every month, keep it hot and fresh, and I'm trying to teach you, is that there's 2 signs that are always primarily involved. When there's eclipses like this, again, the 4 signs in the spotlight, Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, instead of 2 houses, 2 zones of your chart, there are 4. So yes, it's more intense, and yes, it's true you're exhausted, and yes, it's true we have more homework to do right now. And that homework's not going away until we get to, like, Gemini, until we get, like, to the end of May. Why? Because solar eclipses open up a new 6-month cycle, and this one just did that. So I told you, we now start, if you're just joining the show, we just started, a door opened of the next 6 months. So this April ties into October for all of us. So let's think about the fact that we've got some new opportunities, and Aries is all about try it different, become a better version of yourself. That's the overarching energy for all signs, because we all have Aries in our chart. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Aries because we spend a lot of time on Aries. But the Taurus right now, for Taurus, happy birthday. And for Taurus, you're coming into your time to move away. It's this eclipse actually happened in your 12th house, even though you're coming into your first house. I mean, it's just the first day of Taurus. So a lot of you Taurus have not had your birthday yet. So what I want to say to most of the Taurus out there is you need to recharge emotionally. You need to strengthen your soul. You need to work on the psychological deficits and investments, the pluses and minuses. This is your 12th house. It's being birthed into the new means it's the ending of you being in the womb. It's embryonic anytime we go through the 12th house. So it's your private life. It's what you're purging. It's reflecting. It's releasing. It's healing. It's trusting the paths they're wanting to open before you now. If you're too focused on the past, focus on it this way. And then I'll go to Gemini. How has it both helped and hindered you? So it's time for you to put certain specific situations behind you, and the number one priority when all the signs go through the 12th house, which is this eclipse was in Taurus's 12th, that 2 of them hit their 12th house, is that your emotional peace of mind is the goal, period. So ties that break you or ties that are broken are ultimately soul lessons that can strengthen your emotional fears, help you unpack the baggage, and let you to right now for Taurus, focus on your skills, your talents, and the new doors that are opening up on that. And if you're a Gemini, right now what's going on with Gemini is Mars is in Cancer, and so Gemini, it's putting you more into networking and the scenarios of who wants to come around you and those great networking conversations. And Geminis right now can work out a lot of things by talking it out, and the talking and the listening is the polarity for Gemini right now. Gemini's opposite sign is Sagittarius. So getting with those friends, getting with those seminars, those workshops, those podcasts, those expanding that social circle is what's going to grow the happiness flowers and satisfaction blooms if you're a Gemini, especially because this eclipse is in an alignment to Jupiter, because on April 11th, we had Jupiter align. It's called Kazemi. Jupiter went across the face of the sun. The Arabs called that Jupiter kissed the face of the sun. So there's a better, more satisfying social life that can boost you. So I think that's the nectar for Gemini right now. These eclipse cycles from April of 2023 into March of 2025 are saying it's the Aries push for Gemini is more involvement with others, your neighborhood, your community, new friendships, maybe even some renewal of relationships with current ones, putting a friendship or a group connection behind you and forging new group associations or relationships with this. So it's got to do with groups, people, networking, new interests, taking a class, doing a lecture, being a teacher, all of that. With Cancer, in your big 3, this solar eclipse is heightening your self-awareness. It's hitting that point of view that says, how do I really want to be seen? in the world. So this is the zenith of the top part of the chart that Cancer had 2 Aries eclipses. So it's really looking at your responsibilities, and are the responsibilities that you're taking on. You know, with the Cancer moonchild sign, they have these like 4 cyclic like menstrual cycles that go on, the moon's menstrual cycles, and no matter what gender you are, and so it challenges you to work on the matters of where you feel vulnerable, where you feel that you need more attention, where you feel like you could give more attention, and and it's like you get this mood of, I'm going to give it my all for the next 48 hours, and then I'm just going to sleep for the next 3, and I'm going to reject all the work, I'm going to reject the relationship. So if Cancers right now can kind of regulate the high highs and the low lows and not be so bipolar with the whole thing, Cancers need to be leveled out because they just got hit with these 2 eclipses. So there can be some initial high tides of feeling stuck or blocked or underappreciated or uncertain, or they want to rant against other people. You need to do this, and why don't you follow through with this? And the other person could say, have you checked yourself lately? Did you follow through with what you said you were going to do? I mean, we all do it. So there is a good sense of renewal and a reinvigoration, especially connected right now with what you want to do in the world, how you want to improve with your individual talents in a broader spectrum of whatever your work is. So you might see some changes with work, the focus of work, your life direction, authority figures. Your reputation is under the light. After the eclipse, the moon moved in between the sun and the earth. So the earth now, we're in an earth sign of Taurus. So for Cancer, it's like, okay, the moon is your ruler, and the moon temporarily blocked the light of the sun. And the sun is your ego and your individualistic expression. So the more you're aware of adding a little more structure or not fighting against the rules in your life, then you can decide what improves your performance and your general day-to-day. I'll follow certain rules because I'm now in a moon phase where I can be exceptionally busy with my career and see the fruits of my labor, so to speak. So if you're a Leo, and I was saying to Joe on the break, Leos, a lot of astrologers, I'm not here and talk about Leo, but when you have a solar eclipse, there's another layer. There's always layers to our astrology understanding in our charts, but if you just know your sun sign, whenever there's a solar eclipse, it always affects Leo more than any of the other 11 signs because Leo is ruled by the sun. On May 4th, 5th, and 6th, even though that lunar eclipse is in the water sign of Scorpio, it always affects people that have the sign of Cancer moonchild strong in their chart. Why? It's a lunar eclipse. And every year we're at least going to have 2 lunar eclipses and 2 solar eclipses. So if you're a Leo out there, this eclipse favors you because the 2 eclipses happened the 2 new moons happened in Aries. This one at the 29th degree of Aries is saying to Leo, get your humor back. Start laughing more. Hang out with the people, even if there's some tragic events and deaths and frustrations or illnesses that people are walking through. Either be the humor or create more of a lighthearted atmosphere for them because Leo is the sunlight, Cancer is the moonlight. So for Leo right now, it's like it hits the area of your chart where you want to grow and explore and find the good. Find the positive in any of the experiences that you're going through right now. We're all making a break from the past because that's what an eclipse does, but yours is clearing the path for inside growth and development. So you're going to end up being the light-hearted element or the humor or putting a positive spin on it for other people. So it may be, Leo, that you're hearing about friends or family members that are more challenged in their life right now. So if you're a Virgo... Can
I just say something real quick before you get to Virgo, too? Because I got to say this. Because I do the elemental chart, the really basic elemental stuff, right? So, like, if you're a Leo moon, stop hiding. Stop hiding. Like, you got all kinds of stuff to offer. Some of the coolest people I've met are Leo moons, and they can't come out for some reason. You know what I mean? Like... They hide. They're hiding all that stuff you're talking about.
Well, this eclipse should help that because it's an eclipse of the sun. So between now and October, you're going to probably find the moon in Leos out there because the moon rules Cancer. So when they have a moon in Leo, they don't quite know how to display the light of their personality. And what they do is they tend to get aggravated or feel rejected or strike instead of, they bite and claw like a lion and attack instead of finding the humor that, like, they need laughter, they need play, and you don't always have to be high with alcohol or drugs in order to let the playful side of your child out. So Leo's the inner child. So Leo moons, they better deal with their wounded child or how they're held back or held to account by their original family members, whoever raised them, because they really fall into the patterns of authority. They've got to break that tie with authority. So if you're Virgo, it's hitting your 8th house. So Virgos are very weary right now because Mars was in Gemini for a long time. Now Mars is in Cancer. That favors you. But Virgos are dealing with all these home projects and trying to micromanage workers and their finances and what investment is still good and what investment isn't still good. So Virgos, like, there's a lot of powerful energy that's wanting to come into their personal intimacy sector, and Virgos are saying, maybe I need to level up, and maybe I need to shift what I always was attracted to, or what type I was always attracted to. Maybe I'm stagnant, and maybe I need to get out of the box. Maybe I've been maybe I need to come out of my envelope more, and if it's always been a brunette, or it's always been just this way, or that age, or that body type, or maybe I need to realize that I'm too stuck in a rut myself. So they're going to turn over a new leaf in learning about themselves in intimate, personal, private ways. They're going to get a chance to see that although they're dealing very busy in the outside world, the material world, because Taurus enhances that for Virgo, their energy levels are getting exhausted because privately they're looking at what's missing in their life as far as romantic touch, intimate moments, and things like that. So Virgos are kind of like, what the hell's going on with my private life? Did I miss the boat? Is it ever going to come back again? So they've been so focused on getting external 3D world stuff coming to some level of accomplishment. This eclipse is giving them a blast of energy to not just focus on financial support issues and get out of emotional entanglements that aren't healthy so they can move forward, because I do see good intimacy coming to you, Virgo. I do. If you're a Libra, powerful time, very powerful time. Libra's going to be a real short message. 2 eclipses in Aries. Now the sun's in Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, your ruler. This is all about a strong position for new beginnings regarding your closest relationships. Negotiations, one-to-one intimacy and relationships are now absolutely lit up by the sun and the moon, the next eclipse in Scorpio. All Libras and strong Libra in a chart values relationship, teamwork, and love, period.
Yeah.
And they look at it's vital. It's a vital currency of energy that the role someone plays in their life. The need for support, companionship now is coming into center stage, and that pleases a Libra to no end. It's like, oh, goody, it's in my Easter basket. So for Scorpio, the next full moon is a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Scorpio is no stranger to supernatural mysteries, their connection with God, the divine alignment that always brings them, the answers. Scorpios are very private. They can be very dynamic with you, but their marriage, their primary intimacy is to do with how they are aligned or misaligned with the Creator, with the Almighty I Am, with however they connect and plug into the God currency. They know that the supernatural and the great private mysteries and revelations and answers that come from the holy sources and the divine alignments is absolutely number one with them when they're being on the light side of being a Scorpio. So the routine of Scorpios are bringing all of it into the routine of their life. It's a 6th house vibration, so it heralds a period where they're getting into new diet regimes, healthy routines. They're not going to be fighting themselves about their work appointments or their schedules. They're going to revamp how they've been doing business. And in the weeks and months ahead, I see Scorpio in a solid position that business matters, the details of it, and the increase in their efficiency, circumstances, and the forces around them all being very favorable to, as they honor their limits and their boundaries, they're going to see that the abundance, it's a period of abundance for them because of that. And Scorpios have to pace themselves. They tend to go full black, full white, full, go hard, and then absolutely get exhausted. So I would say that in your area of work and the area of taking care of your responsibilities, don't be so hard on yourself. Self-improvement will be your high focus, but you need to don't get yourself so blown away. Don't blow your energy out. Don't overdo the circuitry.
Quick question. When you say Scorpio, do you mean the house that it's in or where the actual sign is in? Like, because I'm thinking about where Scorpio, I'm sure we're all thinking about where Scorpio's in our chart.
Absolutely.
Right?
Okay, with the lunar eclipse coming up, the house that you have Scorpio in, number one. If you're a Scorpio or you have Scorpio in your sun, moon, or rising sign, yes, you're more affected in the next 3 months because the lunar eclipse gives you emotional intimacy lessons for the next 3 months. But yes, the lunar eclipse will have to do with our feelings and our deepest psychological report card. How we're doing with ourselves, number one, and how we're positioning ourselves in our intimate, emotional, private world. How we're doing with us, number one. Scorpio lunar eclipse is going to show us whatever house you've got Scorpio in is where you're going to get answers. But if you've been avoiding or enabling or doing toxic things to try to pleasure yourself, Scorpio's going to get your ass kicked because Scorpio's going to go, no, you're not going to drink too much, and no, you're not going to take another pill to sleep or deal with your anxiety. You're going to face what the issue is. Scorpio doesn't play games. Scorpio comes in hot and hard. So Scorpio's saying, ha, now you're going to face the music now. So I would just look at that house and say, oh, okay, Scorpio's in my 5th house. I need to make sure my kid's okay. I need to really focus on my talents and stop expecting everybody else to do my work for me. So Sagittarius, this is a distinct theme of playful, just for fun adventures, inclinations are trying to come into the spotlight for you to be able to up the game as far as what is not draining you mentally and philosophically. Sagittarius, they like to get out there and chase after truth, and it might be fishing, and it might be motorcycle riding, and it might be shooting a gun, and it might be whatever it is, but it's your energy levels have plummeted initially over the last 4 months. Sagittarians have really had like a bit of an exhaustion hitting them because Mars was in Gemini for so long. But Jupiter aligns with the eclipse. Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. No matter what sign it's currently in, it's getting ready to change into Taurus, and that's going to bless Taurus and Aries most of all. So there's going to be an unusual, encouraging, positive high tide of energy to help you pursue your heart's desire, your passions, and your loves. And it might be you go out and you build a greenhouse, or you build a chicken coop, or you do something that just like makes you feel good about an accomplished task. But it's basically warm and romantic and forward-looking is what this is. And Sagittarius is a fire sign, and Aries is a fire eclipse. So it's in alignment for you, Sagittarius, even if it is in the last degrees of Aries. For Capricorn, the way is being cleared for new beginnings, particularly related to your living conditions, domestic arrangements, family dynamics. It's time to, if you're going to assess anything, because Capricorns are always assessing, look at what's been holding you back from thriving. Maybe the family dumped upon you to take care of the ill relative or the rambunctious grandchild or whatever it is, and because they went off and did drugs, now you're stepping in to help the kids. So I feel like there's been a heavier responsibility around Capricorn, and they're going to just make a decision. It's like, you know what, go on with your bad self. I'm going to take care of the kid for the next 6 months. And so I don't want to hear your input. Go get yourself cleared up. Go to rehab. Do what you have to do. I'm going to be the anchor in this kid's life, like a lot of us had with an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent or a mama, as I say. So Capricorn's kind of in a role of responsibility. If you're an Aquarius, this is, it's the A-team. Pluto's in Aquarius. So Aquarians have a lot of responsibility on them right now, especially around their job and their career. I see their educational levels going into primary. I feel like there's a powerful drive around Aquarius. They can detach emotionally to family, lovers, and everything when they realize that they got to have boots on the ground and accomplish a task. So if you're in love with an Aquarius or you're the kid of an Aquarius, they got to do what they got to do right now. They're on a mission. They're on a vision quest and a mission. So the next 3 months ahead for Aquarius are robust for learning, making contracts, getting in touch, and it's an accomplishment cycle. So try not to take it personal because they got to do what they got to do, and they got to do it now. And if you're a Pisces, this eclipse for Pisces with that shifting of Aries to Taurus is Pisces are getting a real wake-up call in how they're using money or seeking money or spending money or bartering or trading, like they're trying to hide their emotional frustration by shopping, like a shopping addiction, or sleeping a lot when it doesn't go their way, or avoiding the chores or cleaning the house or the responsibilities or time with the kid or whatever it is. It's tactile. They're seeking comforting activities, and they're also pushing their hand out saying, I don't really want to deal with that right now. But because there's so many new beginnings in order, and Jupiter going into Taurus is going to favor Saturn being in Pisces. So even though they've got Saturn in their sign, Jupiter in Taurus is saying to you, this is a really good time for you to, instead of buying stuff all the time to make yourself feel better, try to sell some stuff and get the extra money so at least you can see that you're treating yourself better and you've got some more play going on instead of just like, I don't feel good today, I need to shop. I don't feel good today, I need a sleeping pill. I don't feel good today, I need a Xanax. I don't feel good today, I'm going to take a pain pill. So there's an alignment with this eclipse in Aries that's trying to say to Pisces, Spirit and the divine are wanting to give you some new doors and opportunities that it doesn't have to be the same things that hurt you in the past being carried into the future. So this is a very liberating eclipse, and here's the key, here's the caveat, if we will just allow it and get out of our own way. That's the big thing. Get out of your own way. Untie the knots.
Well, do you think a lot of that, I don't know, for me, a lot of that has to be, you got to be, I think it's important to be as honest and vulnerable with yourself and others, like with yourself first and then others second, and then you can exhale after that, right? Even if people don't react the way you want them to, at least you know where you stand so you can move forward and where you need to move forward, you know?
And so let's say you don't have an intimate partner in your life right now. There's a lot of people that have lost connections with friends and intimacy and all that, and maybe they're meeting up and hooking up and sending naked pictures, but there's no real relationship. So people get a little detached and scared of that the less they're involved with it. So that's when you want to go to seminars and lectures and really listen to these podcasts, and before that, to manifest that relationship or to improve your existing relationship, or at least find out if you need to move on or stay with it, then work on yourself. And I promise you, as you continue to work on yourself and stop looking at why they're not doing that and why they won't do that, work on yourself. And then as you work on yourself, you're alchemized, you've manifested, you've broken through some of your blocks, and then the other person gets to exhale, to Joe's point, and they get to see, wow, I don't have to get pissed at them because they're not so uptight about that all the time. They're not as needy. They're not as critical. They're not as dominant. They're not blaming me all the time. We're not fighting as much as we used to. How nice it is to hang out again. And if you're single, if you work on yourself, you're going to up the ante of attracting a better match to your vibration. So if you're not technically in a relationship right now, go look in your community about, like right now in Tampa, one of the best things I ever did in 2009, and they started up again, the Hay House I Can Do It conference is going to happen at the Tampa Convention Center. It's very affordable. It's in May, and if you live in Florida, you can go for the day. You don't have to pay the big expensive hotel fees and all that. That's how I did it. I went to Florida, and I was able to do it without paying all the motel fees. It was life-changing. I met all those, it's all the Hay House authors. Brian Weiss is going to be there, the ultimate expert in past life regressions. They bring in the shamans, all these authors that you've read, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, they're all going to be there. And you can just do a day if you want to. But I mean, go, and all those people that are going, everybody that went to that conference was interested in alchemy and bettering themselves. They had read the books, they wanted to do the work, and everybody was very friendly with everybody else. It was an incredible, I did the 3-day workshops because I was in Florida, didn't have to, and then they have meetings where you get together. And you talk about business connections. You talk about meeting people that you'll know for the rest of your life. Maybe you would meet somebody that would be a better match for you spiritually. But if you're anywhere near Florida, I was in North Carolina at the time, and I made it happen. So, it's something that it's deliberately positive. It's not a cult. It's nobody trying to change you to do anything, but it's all those books and CDs. And if you can't attend the conference, you can get a jump drive, and you can, play it in the comfort of your own home or Zoom or whatever it is. You can invest in it, and it's cheaper to do it that way. But I promise you, it's life-altering. Or go to the bookstores, go to the seminars, work on yourself instead of just sitting there day after day after day going, I'm not happy. Why doesn't love find me? How come I don't have money? How come I always get in the same spot with my relationships or my money? If you're really, really done with it, start to change it. That's Aries.
Oh, yeah. All right, so the phone lines are open. It's 1-800-588-0335. I just opened the phone line. So if you've been calling in trying to get a head start, sorry. But now you can call in. I see people like calling in and it's not ringing too. So I'll actually call you back. And let me see who this is first. I'm going to call this person back.
Okay.
I don't know why. Sometimes it rings and pops up, and sometimes it doesn't.
And Mercury's going retrograde tonight, tomorrow. So communication thing gets interesting.
Yeah. So I can see your numbers if you call in, and, you know, if I don't grab you, then I'll call you back here. But it looks like...
Well, if you don't want to do that, you can say the area code, and I'll just go ahead, and while you're calling them back, I'll just tell them the card they got.
Looks like 702 area code. You're on the air. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, this is Dragon Rose, a.k.a. Linda in Las Vegas. How are you both doing?
What's up, Dragon Rose?
Hi, Linda. Blessings, dear.
Blessings to you, my dear.
You got a good card. As he was saying he was going to call somebody back, I got out of my Oracle, Tea Leaf Oracle, I got the Archway card, and this is new opportunities, new possibilities, brand new paths opening up. I mean, I just get this sense that there's like I see wings, and I see like the birds, like even if somebody had a pet parrot, that it's like even though it's in the cage, all the ceiling fans have been turned off, and now the bird gets to be with its mom or its dad and fly around the room, and it's like I just feel something lighter, more liberated, like if I'm on horseback, the wind in my hair kind of a thing, and I don't know, I feel everything around you lighter, easier, like I see you going to comedy clubs, I see you laughing more, I see you, like big pressures are off of you now, and it's like it's your time, maybe you're going to go on vacation or something, but it's your time to just really go, yeah, I'm going to play.
Oh my God, that is awesome. I just retired, and that's what I'm hoping to hear from Spirit, because it's been a pretty rough year.
No, it's not going to be. It's not going to be. And now, it's interesting. This is a really specific psychic thing they're telling me. They said, tell her either she needs to eat more pineapple, frozen or fresh, or she needs to think about take a papaya or a pineapple enzyme, like what pineapple or papaya does, and you can eat it fresh or you can buy it at a health food store. It's a digestive enzyme, and it will stop any bloating or feeling, you get that feeling of too full, and it's an all-natural way to kind of like settle the digestive and colon tract down. So it feels like you may need a little, not for long, but that you need to have that right now. So when you go to those fruit bars or salad bars, as they start to open them back up, or add pineapple with your smoothie or something.
Oh my God, I just, it's not fresh, but I had actually just a couple days ago bought freeze-dried papaya and pineapple.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, but it's just
that's too cool.
Well, see, you're psychic too. Then when the psychic tells you something like that that's real specific, that's Spirit's way of letting you know your intuition and your psychic ability is right on target. I've always said the best psychic reading is when somebody says, "Wow, I just dreamed that. I just thought that. I just did that." To me, that's the way Spirit's talking directly to you, and it's just using me as one of the little electronic avenues, you know?
Well, that's just an affirmation of what I already knew, but I do appreciate it, and I will be in contact very soon, Mary, for my semi-annual.
Oh, it's a really good time for people to get their charts updated, because we are definitely in a very specific, that's why I was mentioning the houses this time, that impact, to really learn without having to do all that stress yourself, to have whatever seasoned astrologer you choose. Sometimes it's always fun to get a psychic reading. This is a very important time for people to get that 6-month update. But so you have all that information in advance and you know what to be on the lookout for.
Absolutely.
So thank
you so much. I appreciate you both.
Oh,
Bless you. Happy retirement. Yay!
Yeah.
Thank you. Blessings to you both.
I'll take it.
Always jealous of people that get to retire, right? That's so cool. 1-800-588-0335. The phone lines are open. So, yeah. So, like, so what happens if you get, let's just say what happens if you get lazy, right? Like, if you don't take this energy that's trying to get you through the door, and is it just the same thing? Like, or does the cycles get harder? Because
no. When it comes to an eclipse, it's like I don't know which movie it was, but it's like we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. Because when it comes to eclipses, the changes are coming. You either want to roll with it or it's going to smack the shit out of you. That's what's going to happen. Eclipses are exclamation points, and it's if there's anything ever true about, people always talk about, oh, Mercury's going to go retrograde. I know what that means. Really? Have you studied eclipses? Because the eclipses are like, how you doing? I just walked through the door. I'm called fate. I'm called destiny, and you've been dragging your butt on this for too long, and this is the area of your chart that just got lit up. Yeah, the moon, your feelings, just got in the way of what the sun's wanting to have as an accomplishment, and the light. The moon just temporarily blocked out the light, so you're trying to take the easy way out, and I'm going to tell you, no, I gave you a chance to do it with your intuition, and, you got lazy, and you did this, and you sidebarred it, and all that. Now it's an eclipse, and it's like, now it's going to happen. So that's why I'm saying the Aries-Libra axis in all of our charts, regardless of your sun and your moon and your rising sign, the Aries-Libra houses in our chart are absolutely the astrological exclamation points and where everything is going to change in our life. Those two houses, those planets in Aries or Libra, that's what's in the spotlight for the next 2 years. Get used to it.
All right. There you go. 7810 area code. You're on the air. Who are we speaking with?
Hey, Joe.
Hey, who?
Me.
Is this Nick? What's up, brother?
Yeah, man. How's it going?
Well, yeah, that's going, man. It's good to hear your voice. I want to hear what this guy's reading is. I got to hear it.
Okay. Do you have a question, Nick,
Hi,
or do you
Mary.
want me just? Hi, Nick. Do you have a question, or do you want me just to roll with it?
But just so we know, because I know Mary loves to be respectful and have manners, because it's Mary. His name's Snick. I called him Nick for about 3 months. Trust me, I get it. So
okay, so it's Snick like a Snickers bar.
Yeah,
Snick. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. Well,
I'm one.
go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I'm just wondering. I was recently laid off, and I'm just wondering if I'm probably going to find some kind of job soon.
I feel with I keep getting the number 8. I feel like it's either 8 days or there's something to do with maybe the address will have an 8 in it, but the card that I got for you is an 8. It just fell out. And it's the 8 of Cups, and this has to do with, although you had to, like, in a sense, when we're walking out a door, we're turning our back, like if you got laid off, we're walking out that door. But I feel like that the only reason you got laid off is because Spirit's got something much more engaging of your intellect. It's like I feel like even though we like to keep putting, getting a paycheck and putting, our rent and the peanut butter on our bread and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like that you really were done there emotionally, psychologically, mentally, and I feel like that it was a stepping stone type of experience, and I don't know. It literally could be, May 8th, or it literally could be in 8 days. There's something. What sign are you? What sign are you, Snick?
I'm an Aquarius.
Yeah, he's Aquarius.
Okay. So the Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto's even getting ready to do a little retrograde thing. Actually, the Mercury retrograde that's coming up starting tomorrow could bring you news from, like a new beginning through someone or something that you've done before, or someone that you've known for a while, or a lead that comes in from someone that either you used to work with or that does the same thing that you do. There's something of a familiar connection or a previous connection that's going to be the very thing that connects you into something. And I do see more money than what you were making at the other place.
Yeah,
oh wow!
He's extremely talented, man. I always told him, I said, whenever I get the money, to hire a graphic guy, this is my guy right here.
Oh, good. Oh, that's nice. That's a nice validation. Please call us back and let us know, because you're calling on the eclipse. It's very fated who gets through. So I'm going to put you on my manifestation prayer affirmation list. So please, you may not get me, but please get a hold of Joe and let him know, so Joe can message me going, hey, Snick got it. It happened. So if it happens, especially before the next time we're on the air.
Will do. Thank you so much, Mary. That resonates so well.
And thank you for the name correction, Snickers bar. I'm not going to forget that. That's my favorite candy bar.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. 1-800-588-0335. Let's see. Did we miss one? We still got we still got time for a couple of calls. I'll see if I'll call this one back. I like calling people back because they'll be like, well, I hung up and there you are now. We're here. Fun to me. Art Bell never did that, did he?
Couple times.
All right, so 320, we're calling you back.
How's it going tonight, guys?
Good. Who are we speaking with? Where are you calling from?
This is McCormick in Minnesota.
McCormick in Minnesota.
Do you have a question, McCormick?
I was just wondering what Spirit's got for me tonight.
I see two things. I see the arrow hits the bullseye and the target, so either you or someone around you is very goal-oriented. But I also see, it's like a plus-minus thing, I also see that also orbiting around you, either you or someone around you, that someone is extremely stubborn and they're having a hard time accepting some kind of change, like change, they kind of buck up on that. It's kind of like the bull in the pasture going, I don't want to get in the truck. But I see that there's some, as far as a goal, when I take a bow and arrow and I shoot the arrow, or even when people go to those places where you can throw an axe and try to hit the bullseye, something's going to manifest because the other card that I'm getting for you is that the arrow has hit the center of the whole target. It's like that's always a successful sign. Oh, my God, bullseye. And it's interesting, bullseye, as the card, because we just went into Taurus, the bull. Your tarot card is Temperance, and this is the 14th card. It's the Archangel that talks about balance. Gabriel's on Judgment, and Raphael's on the Lovers, and Archangel Michael is the archangel that's cycling around you right now. And I'm seeing that as you keep looking at both sides of a person or both sides of a situation, you take that kind of like Buddhist. You kind of take the middle ground of it, like you're not leaning too far right and you're not leaning too far left. You're just walking straight down the path and keeping your focus. That's going to help the arrow hit the actual target. So there's something that if it's been a maybe or if it's been a I don't know, the fact that you're just like focused on the goal, I know what the target is, I'm aiming for the target, and keeping that aim nice and steady, I feel like there's going to be a success, a yes, an accomplishment. But you got somebody around you that's stubborn.
I got a lot of people around me that are stubborn, actually.
Yeah, it's that whole pattern of stubbornness that you're like, oh, Holy Mother of God, just try to go with the flow. So maybe you're the one that goes with the flow. And maybe I'll say it this way. Don't let that resistance to change affect you. Just keep on keeping on. If they want to be stubborn, to me, stubborn sometimes means they'll get stuck. They get too stuck in a rut type of a thing. I don't see that with you, but I do see that around you, that they're resistant. Maybe that's a better way to say it. They're stubborn or resistant to change, and I feel like change is your friend right now. And so where they're afraid of change, you're like, yeah, bring it, I'm ready.
Okay.
There you go.
So let us know. Let us know, McCormick.
Yeah, call back and let us know for sure.
I will. Thank you.
Thanks, McCormick.
Blessings.
I cannot stand that for some reason. I feel like I'm on the other end of that test, honestly, because I'm ready to go. When I get, it's kind of like when you play football, and you got 15 seconds. You got to make a play here, right?
That's Aries.
We call the play, and if the play don't work, and they never work perfectly, we adapt and we score the touchdown regardless. You see, 3 yards at a time, or maybe we break one. It don't matter, but you can't stand in the huddle forever. It drives me crazy, and I don't think it's just Aries. I think it's Aries, Cancer, Libra. I can't do it.
Well, the Aries part of it's always the impulsive part. The Libra in someone's chart is about, well, if we don't try it, how are we going to ever know what the answer is? Because Libra's like, I don't mind looking at both sides of it, but at some point, we got to make a choice. Just like I told you about that life coach, Mel Robbins. Sometimes we build courage by simply just taking an action. Maybe we won't want to take that very action again, but if you start something, you got to begin somewhere. You got to put your toe in the water to find out if the water's too cold or it's just right. You got to put your toe in the water.
Yeah. Well,
but Aries is like, oh, there's a diving board. I'm going to jump. Oh, there's a wall. I'm going to jump off of it. I mean, Aries is the daredevil, and they dare people to do things, and they push themselves to do things. And I will say, too much of the Aries-Libra thing, when they seek an emotional thrill, they can go for the thrill of it more than understanding the logic of it. The Libra part of it is the logic of like, hey, dumbass, you got too stoned the other night. Where Aries is like, I don't care, it was fun. But Libra's like, no, it affects you for the next 3 days, dude. You're not 19, so you need to snap out of it. You can, don't do that just as a recourse because you got bored. If Aries gets bored or Gemini gets bored, they go into the wild zone. They just go into the wild zone. They just do. They push the limits.
Yeah.
Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. But with that, when somebody's got a lot of water or Cancerian planets in their chart, if you can calm the savage beast just by petting them and feeding them and letting them know that they're valued.
Thank
they got to
God.
have emotional calmness. Yeah, they got to have emotional calmness. As my mama used to say, "Don't star, Merlin. They ain't right." Or then she'd look at me and I'd do something crazy, and she goes, "You ain't right." And sometimes I took that as a compliment, got to be honest. It's like, yeah, I'm okay with that, Mama. You ain't right. Yeah, I'm okay with that today. All right. You better get right. I ain't right. That's okay. So it's just, it's the mood of the moment. When you've got water planets in your chart, those moods sometimes can take you off the balance of the logic. And sometimes people that are too logical miss out on having just some plain old fun. So it's a lot to navigate. When you learn the elements of your chart, is my chart heaviest in air? Is it heaviest in earth? The earth, if you're real heavy in earth signs, it's not easy for you to take a risk at all. But if you've got a lot of fire or you've got a lot of air, it's like, wee doggies, let's go. But if you've got strong water and you've got strong earth, it's like, oh, no, I have to feel secure. I'm not doing it till I feel secure. And the earth, what's it going to cost me? I mean, you got to learn what's the strongest element in your chart. And one of the best astrological seminars I went to, which I hadn't heard before, was when they taught us whatever element you're weakest in your chart. Like if you're very weak in air. Now, you would normally think, okay, if I'm weak in air, then that means I don't really like studying or I don't really like intellectual things or thoughts or ideas. No. What element you're weak in, you're going to attract that, and you're going to be attracted to that. So if you have a lot of earth and a lot of water and you're kind of, looking at the cost of it and you're looking at emotional security, but you're weak in air, what turns you on is people that listen to you, people that inspire you, the air signs, that whole air thing of like, wow, we're really compatible. We really can talk. We really get along because that's the element you're weakest in. So like if somebody's weakest in air, they need somebody to help them balance things out financially because they don't want to have to focus with all that. It's like, it's like they'll just throw money around or they're always afraid about money. If you're weak in earth, that's more of a financial issue thing. It's
gotcha.
interesting. But I had never heard it put that way. So I played with that concept for a while, and I started looking when I was doing clients' charts. That's one of the things when they would get their regular every 6 months reading, I would say, I'm going to teach you that you're weak in this element. So I want you to start looking at, do you attract these signs, or are these signs giving you the most problems? And then we would look at those houses. If you're weak in air, what was going on in those houses? So you take it a little more technical with somebody, but then that's teaching them their chart in a way that they're not going to find in a book and they're not going to find in the internet because they're taking all that separately. When you get with an actual experienced seasoned astrologer, whoever it is, they're going to show you the artwork of your chart and the specifics that it's just, you can't get it out of a book because the book's going, okay, here's what the seventh house means. Here's what Aries on the seventh house means. Here's what the moon means, but they don't know how to put it together.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that for sure. Totally get that. Well, we only got a couple of minutes left, so if you want to do the final message or whatever.
Okay, so let's just pick a final oracle card and a final tarot card for the people that are listening or are going to have to, wait for the replay. And I still have people, you're going to get mad, but I still have people that missed your YouTube channel. Just saying.
Well.
Just saying. Hope they figure it out. I hope YouTube gets their act together.
I hope these people figure out how to listen to a podcast player. I don't understand.
I agree, I tell them about Spotify, but now I just had one email me on the break saying that they couldn't get through on Fringe FM Live. So it might be their error. Let's not judge them. It might be their error, but they were frustrated because they wanted to hear it live. Live. Okay, so the bucket that spilled over with water, like the milk bucket or the water bucket. So, and this fits the eclipse. The actual word on the card is PAIL, like the milk pail or the jug. So it's time to get out of a situation because it goes back to that old saying, look at the situation you need to say goodbye to or get out of, because it's like quit crying over spilled milk. The milk spilled, either go milk the cow again or get some more milk and quit focusing on the milk that spilled. That's like the eclipse message, because eclipses are always, there's a door that's got to close. Same thing with Pluto and Aquarius. But as we go from this eclipse into Taurus season, our first day of Taurus, we've got the Ace of Cups. That's the ace of emotions and intimacy and water, and the 23rd Psalm, my cup runneth over. And that's what they're calling for the water moon of May 4th, 5th, and 6th. So as we go into what's called Vesak, or the Wesak moon, or the sensuality of the good things in our earth life, Taurus, the good meal, the wonderful friends, the beautiful weather, the things coming out in spring, or the beauty of autumn on the other side of the world, here we have a spiritual confirmation that the cup is hearts, that our hearts can be overflowing if we will work on ourselves. By the time we get to May, the Holy Spirit dove is here, and it's saying that we're going to know the communion, and we're going to, which is actually the ritual you do on the Scorpio moon. You go out with a liquid under the Wesak, under the Buddha moon, under the Scorpio moon, whether it's wine or water, and after you meditate for 8 minutes facing northeast, giving thanks, then you drink that charged water or that charged up liquid of your choice in your chalice. And so this is taking communion with the blend of my biological Mother Earth and all that I'm grateful for in my earth temple and my sensuality, and how I can be touched with her fruits and her herbs and the people that I'm compatible with, and how we exchange money and talent and all that. That's the bounty of Taurus, how we barter and spend, and the people that value you and who we spend time and money with because we value them, because we all have limited times on this earth. So for Christ's sake, go invest in people and places and situations that you know are uplifting. That's the higher vibration of Taurus. And the Scorpio lunar eclipse is saying, you better listen to your spirit. It's an eclipse. You better listen to your spirit. You better level up your sensuality. Stop getting into porn. Stop just, doing, if you're going to pleasure yourself, do it with intention. If you're going to, and I'm going to get specific, if Scorpio, if you're going to do an orgasm, then do the magic of what it is that you're wanting to manifest. And if you're orgasmic with yourself, then bless a situation or a person, because that's the release of that pleasure principle onto something or someone and taking it to a higher octave instead of just body exercise. So the Taurus is about my cup is full and I'm grateful, and how might I encourage or smile or bless another person. And the Scorpio is about sensuality should have an alchemical purpose, not just be sports sex.
Yeah, well, and you're talking about the energies of the main cosmic energy of the universe too. So it's
I am.
I don't want to go into all that, but it's a sensitive subject for me. But anyways, this was a good show. Really good show.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. And listen, I bless you all, and it's okay in your prayers and your ceremonies. Holy Spirit, Creator, Great Spirit, thank you for the softest, most concise way that these eclipse exclamation points of fate and destiny. Thank you. I'm grateful that I can learn my lessons and I can level up without any more pain. I don't have to do it the hard way. I don't have to have the baseball bat crack me over the head. I can trust my vulnerability. I can trust that my life is supposed to be abundant and pleasurable. I accept the prosperity of my Taurus cycle, and I accept the resurrection, the deaths that need to occur, and the births that are now happening with my Phoenix self of the Scorpio lunar eclipse upcoming. I accept it, I am blessed, and I am a blessing as I walk my life path for those that are meant to be in my path. Aho, amen. I bless my goodbyes and my hellos.
There you go, guys. Be back next new moon. Good night. You guys have sweet dreams. If you can get a reading, please reach down, support the Fringe FM. If you can do that, please. Doesn't matter what it is. We could sure use it. We love all of you. Sweet dreams. Good night, y'all.
Blessings.